All right, guys. We're going to do the talk before we do the senior ranks. So, keep you guys in suspense a little while longer. Today I wanted to talk about your role in a tribe. Now, let's define tribe, right? People don't, they hear me say tribe. Some people hate the word tribe because they think I'm talking about Africans or Native Americans or, you know, some like native species of some country somewhere. And originally that is what it was used for. But if we look at what exactly constitutes that word tribe, we know that it means something else. And usually it means a shared identity. Right? So there are three major components to what an identity is. There's ritual, right? It's what we do, what we're known for. All those little sayings that we have, all those little functions and rules, right? No excuses, right? All these things. So there's ritual. There's procreation. There are the people, right? And those people who have the task of growing the tribe. Right? It's how are we going to create that next generation? It's the parents that bring people in. It's the people that, you know, refer, as it pertains to the jungle gym, people that refer friends into the school, into the tribe. And then there's survival. Now survival, these are the hunters, these are the warriors. These are the people that come up here every day and they train. Whereas the procreators, right, they make sure that we grow. The people who are charged with survival make sure the tribe doesn't shrink. Right? So how do we sort of not make the tribe shrink? We show up and we train. Right? We abide by the rituals. We don't sabotage the procreation. Now obviously I'm speaking in terms of the jungle gym because that's what we all share in common. But this can be applied to any single group of which you are trying to become a contributing, positive member. We talk about the family, right? The concept of family. Who in the family is supporting the rituals? Who in the family is supporting the procreation? Who is supporting the survival? At your work, when you're at work, you hate your employer, right? I hate my employer. Well, is he running a tribe and are you a member of it? It's funny, I spoke about in the podcast, those of you that know that I have a podcast, I spoke about a former student who heard one of my talks, my very talks here, and explained that I sort of inspired him to leave. Right? And you think, oh, well, I screwed that one up. I just convinced a student to leave the school, but it's not the case. Because the situation was, and I believe this completely, we weren't for him. This was an individual, good guy. I have nothing bad to say about him at all. Nor am I going to say something bad about him just because he left. Right? He could no longer fill any of those three roles of the jungle gym's identity. Right? He didn't mind the rituals. He was pretty good in the rituals. Procreation, yeah, he would talk well about us. He would refer his friends. But when it came to the survival, he didn't like showing up and getting punched in the face. Right? He didn't like coming in here and having to do takedowns and having to do all the things that separates us from so many sports schools. So he approached us like a man, had a conversation with us, and it was time for him to move on. Right? And that's the way to do it. So when you look at how I don't know if you guys have ever heard this, but I have a reputation for being like a psychopath. I have no idea why. Probably the profile pictures and the selfies I was taking. But if you come and you discuss your situation, and you're abiding by the rules of what the tribe are, how could anybody, you know, criticize you? How could anybody ostracize you? How could anybody say anything bad about you? Right? We're not for everybody. Your job, right? I always tell you, if you hate your job, what should you do? Quit. If you're not willing to quit, shut up. And if you can't quit, that means you need the job. And if you need the job, are you not supposed to do the best job you could possibly do? Because you're saying, I can't survive without that tribe. Yet by the same token, you're trying to sabotage its identity. So this lack of congruence adds to so much strife in people's lives. And too often, it's sort of just accepted, and it's encouraged, and it's not penalized. There are no consequences when it's strayed away from. And as a tribe, a strong tribe, we can't have that. We can't have people that are charged with being hunters, right, and warriors, right, it's the survival of the tribe. We can't have them act like children, right? So what's a child in a tribe? A child in the tribe is somebody who's part of the tribe, who's loyal to the tribe because they don't have a choice. Right? But they're not yet charged with the tasks and the responsibilities of any of those three major components of the group's identity. We don't ask children to participate in the rituals. Right? We don't ask children, we don't make children participate in the procreation of the tribe. We don't ask children, when the invaders are at the wall, to pick up a sword and run at them. Right? They're not charged with being the warriors. They're not charged with being the hunters. Because we give them opportunity and time to grow and evolve into one of those roles. But the issue that happens all the time with the tribe is that you have somebody who's already assumed the identity of one of those roles, but is now looking to get away from the responsibilities involved in that role. So, again, I'm speaking in terms of the jungle gym. But when you talk about, a family, what makes a family successful? All right, a family unit. It's who is making sure that the next generation is provided for. Who is making sure that the rituals of a family are being done. The dinners, the hanging out, the conversations, the vacations, all these different things. Who's making sure those things are done, and who's making sure that the family is going to survive? Who's making sure the bills are paid? Now, it's never going to be just one person does one complete, absolute job. You go back far enough in history when the word tribe was actually started to be used to describe a group of people, you'll find specific people for that. Right? Traditionally, you had the shaman, right? The medicine man, the person who was charged with the rituals, that carried the traditions, that told the stories, right? And that's how we have myth. That's how we have the great mythologies of all these past cultures. Then we had the procreators, which were usually the women, right? Traditionally, these were the women. They were the ones who not only made sure that we had another generation, but that the generation was strong. That generation was protected. That generation was nurtured. And then we usually had the men. These are the ones who were charged with defending the group. These are the ones that were charged with going outside the protective barrier of where the group resided and went to go bring food back, to bring supplies back. Well, society's changed, right? And we don't have to beat people at the door anymore with spears, unfortunately. We don't need a mother to stay home. We don't need a shaman, but the roles stay the same. So, whether you're at work complaining about your job, you're a dad who hasn't seen his son or daughter in months, you're a mother who talks poorly about your child's father, you're a mother who has a career and is sending your newborn off to a daycare center. This is where I start pissing people off. The roles stay the same. How strong is your tribe if you rely on somebody else to defend your family? How strong is your tribe if you rely on somebody else to hunt and gather food and supplies? How strong is your tribe if you rely on somebody else to nurture the next generation? How strong is your tribe if you have no rituals? Thank you all for coming.